Tonight, I rip off Top Gear, struggle to squeeze out of a hypercar, and give my dad a heart attack. Hello and welcome. My name is Thomas and today I'm tinkering on this Lamborghini Sian, Lamborghini's fastest and most powerful vehicle to date. Buckle up because we are going over everything you need to know about this incredible new Italian dream car. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe to join our small but growing family. Once I hit 100,000 subscribers, I'll be shaving my lid for a kid. And as per usual, I'll be getting all nerdy and giddy over a completely bonkers vehicle and really getting into the details, like how this teases the future of Lamborghini's lineup. Let's get right into it. The full name of Lamborghini's newest bull is the Sian FKP 37. Sian is not the name of another bull like usual. Instead, it means flash of lightning in the Italian Bolognese dialect, Sant'Agata Bologna being where Lamborghini has their headquarters in northern Italy. You'll also never believe where Bolognese sauce came from. And of course, like most Lamborghinis, from the Urus to this Sian, pronouncing the name isn't always the easiest thing to do. When I said Google Translate to Italian, it says
Sian.
However, in English, it pronounces it
Sean.
And even though I'm British instead of Italian, I'm going to keep calling it the Sian, and the reason being is Sian sounds a lot more like a multi-million-dollar hypercar name, and Sean sounds a lot more like a dude who has a 5-day-old stubble and wears his cap on back to front. This is a very fitting name for Lamborghini's first vehicle to send electric power to the wheels. FKP are the initials of Ferdinand Karl Piëch, a Volkswagen chairman who, rest in peace, passed away in 2019, and the 37 is because he was born in 1937. My favorite fun fact, or Easter egg if you will, with the Sian is the rarity. In total, they made 83 Sians, 1 prototype, 63 coupes, and 19 roadsters, which just means the roof can come off. So if you take how many roadsters they made, 19, and how many coupes they made, 63, you get 1963, the year that Lamborghini was founded by Ferruccio Lamborghini. And that only scratches the surface of the incredible thought and effort that went into making the Sian a masterpiece. If you're a car person, then the Sian should read like a good book. It's packed with details and tells the story of Lamborghini's past, present, and future. Taking inspiration from the Countach, it also speaks to their entire V12 powered history. You may recognize the styling used in areas like the hood lines as well as the 3 rear lights. As for the present, the Sian is based on the Aventador platform. It has the same aluminum chassis, same magnetic pushrod suspension, and same monocoque design. The interior also remains very familiar, and of course the massive air intakes on the side symbolize both the Countach and the Aventador. The biggest changes from the Aventador are the styling, hybrid system, build materials, and of course the price tag, which we'll get into in a moment. The Aventador is essentially a $500,000 toy, especially when contrasted with the Sian, which is in the same regards more of a limited edition art piece that just so happens to be road legal. The same Y-shaped headlights can be spotted on the Terzo Millennio, which translates to third millennium. It is Lamborghini's concept car from 2017, and just like with the Sian, was developed with the help of MIT. It seems that Lamborghini likes to use stretched hexagons and a Y-shaped design wherever they can on their different models, from the headlights to the dash, even the wheel wells, and the Sian is no exception, with a healthy amount all throughout the car. It also foreshadows Lamborghini's future. Both the Huracan and Aventador are about to get replaced with new models that I've heard will be announced in 2022 and arriving at dealerships in 2023. Rumor has it the replacement to the Aventador will be an ultra-lightweight 1,000 plus horsepower hybrid V12 that also incorporates a supercapacitor just like the Sian. And just like how the Sian represents a halfway point between two generations, looking back a decade, the Reventon, which was another limited edition Lamborghini that debuted in 2008 with only 21 models made, one prototype just like the Sian, and 20 customer cars, was based on the Murcielago, Lamborghini's flagship V12 supercar before the Aventador took over, except it was much like the Sian, infused with hints and lines we'd see in the following generation. So much like how the Reventon gave us a glimpse of what the Aventador would be like, the Sian is giving us hints of what the Aventador's replacement will be like. It's a halfway point between the two, and all the pieces will fall into place once the Aventador's replacement is officially announced. And if you're watching this after the announcement of the Aventador's replacement, then it should already make sense. Now, even though the Sian has only just started arriving at dealerships, it's already inspired other projects like this, the Ducati Diavel 1260 Lamborghini. Diavel meaning devil in the same Italian dialect as Sian. They're making only 630 numbered models in honor of the 63 coupes, with all 630 units being sold in less than 24 hours from release. And the owner of this one, while he wasn't at the time of purchase, is now a salesman at this dealership and was kind enough to leave his new Ducati here so these two could be together just once before they go their separate ways. Hence why there's still a part of a sticker on the front tire, because he's barely driven it. Now, the Volkswagen Group owns Audi, and then Audi owns both Ducati and Lamborghini, which you can thank Mr. FKP himself for, but it's still interesting to see the two brands collaborate, and if you know where to look, it's surprising how much the Ducati actually takes from the Sian. For example, the Ducati has a fully carbon fiber body, the dual hexagon exhaust tips, a Y-shaped pattern on the seat, and the rims. Plus, every single one of these special edition Ducati Diavels was finished in the same prototype gunmetal looking green that the Sian publicly debuted in. Pretty much every unique feature you'd find on a new Aventador, like heated seats, an adjustable ride height, four-wheel steering, and a rear locking differential, you'll also find on the Sian, along with all of the Countach-inspired pieces. But Lamborghini has also added a handful of new next-level quirks. At the back of the engine, you have these 4 autonomous vent flaps that open without sensors or electricity. Instead, they all open when the heat around the exhaust becomes too hot and distorts what they have called this new technology, smart materials. And then right behind that, you have this lovely full-width spoiler. Straight away, if I was blindfolded, I would be able to tell you that this was the door of a Sian versus an Aventador. It is much lighter. Then I'm just completely swallowed by this incredible interior. Obviously, once again, heavily based off of the Aventador. This is some of the nicest leather that I've ever touched in my entire life. This saddle color is a good contrast to the black and carbon fiber that is everywhere. They did not cheap out with the materials inside the Sian. There's carbon fiber spokes on the steering wheel, the paddle shifters around the screen, pretty much everything that could be carbon fiber, just like the exterior is carbon fiber, except for one thing, and that is the air vents, because those have been 3D printed, and I've been told that that logo you can change to anything you want, like your favorite emoji, or probably more realistically, your family crest. Below that, you have some more bells and whistles. First and foremost, this new screen is more like the Huracan Evo, being vertical instead of the horizontal one that used to be on the Aventador. And one of the reasons it's like that is to display your supercapacitor information like charge and boost. Talking about the supercapacitor, it's mounted right behind me, literally right here. This right here says supercap, and behind this sits the supercapacitor system, and it is mounted right onto the transmission. Then right above me, I have this special electrochromic glass that can go from transparent to translucent and back again with the flip of a switch. And last but certainly not least, you have 01 of 63 in the center here. That just means that it's the 1 of 63. This does not mean that it is the first of 63. They all have this, apart from the one prototype that you've seen most of the content online revolving around. And that one says 00 of 63. However, now it is time to move on, and my dad has just arrived, so it is time to stage the Sian a bit differently and see what he thinks. All right, Dad, you ready? It's over here. There it is. Come take a look.
Look at the size of the haunches on it. And it's absolutely, and that colour. Has that been wrapped?
Yeah.
What? It's just, those are tiny wheels on the back. There's no spoiler top. Or does it come out?
It comes out. It's a full width spoiler. Pops out.
That light's on there. It's just unbelievable. Look at the rear end. When people see that, it's those tires, they're more than 350.
Here, check this out as well. This is the heat exhaust.
Right.
So there's no electronics in there. It opens by just getting hot and distorting.
No.
Yeah.
I wonder if the engine's any different. This one.
It's the SVJ's V12.
It's obviously all hand built. These lights are special. Oh, look at them. There's another radiator there. Look at it. It's just. Ambient sight. S-I-A-N. God, Thomas.
Do you want to hear the exhaust?
Do you want to hear it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Do you have the key?
Yeah. Let's do it. Yeah.
He knows his stuff.
Yeah, of course, of course.
He knows his stuff.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, Miguel, go for it. Not bad, hey?
Oh yeah.
It's a good smell to wake you up. Okay, we'll stand back. That's insane. Goodness gracious.
That was unbelievable. Where you hit it.
That soundtrack came from a version of the Aventador SVJ's naturally aspirated 6.5 liter V12. Previously, the most horsepower they got out of that engine was 759, but in the Sian, they squeezed 774 horsepower out of it thanks to titanium intake valves and a new exhaust. And that doesn't even include the extra 34 horsepower that you get from the supercapacitor, making the Sian the first Lamborghini ever to break the 800 horsepower mark with a total output of 808 horsepower. Thankfully, that means that the engine stays as the heart of this Lamborghini and the electric power is there just to assist. And that also means that, much like myself, Lamborghini also thinks that the only thing that should come in 2 liters are milk jugs and juice. The 0 to 100 km/h or 62 mph time is under 2.8 seconds, and the top speed is 355 km/h, the same as 220 mph, but it really should have what we called in elementary a crocodile mouth, and the reason I say that is because this can actually go faster than 355 km/h. However, the tires, which by the way are the widest tires on any production vehicle at 355, can't take much more than that. But really all of that means is that this is the fastest and most powerful Lamborghini that has ever been produced. Other changes from the Aventador include going from a fully aluminum skin to a completely carbon fiber body, including the door, like I already mentioned, making it about 100 kilograms lighter. And there was an option for buyers to get the Sian in exposed carbon fiber. Now, the hybrid system on board this vehicle is one of the things that makes it so unique and special. This is the only vehicle with a supercapacitor in it versus a normal lithium-ion battery that you'll find in vehicles like Teslas. And there are pros and cons to both. A supercap, while it can't store as much power for its weight when compared to a normal lithium-ion battery, is about 3 times more powerful and can charge and discharge energy much faster thanks to a greater power density. Of course, it charges when you brake instead of relying on the engine, and Lamborghini has kept it light, the whole system weighing in at just 34 kilograms, and because it puts out 34 horsepower, that gives it a perfect 1-to-1 power-to-weight ratio. You can probably see where I'm going with this. That power is used to improve throttle response and help during gear changes on the 7-speed single-clutch transmission up to 81 miles per hour. And I will say, if you're somebody that doesn't like the fact that Lamborghini remains one of the only brands to put a single clutch transmission into a car like this, then I'm sorry to say, just go and buy a Ferrari. You can have your comfy dual clutch transmission. That is why their logo is a horse, but this is a freaking bull on the front of it. You're gonna get kicked in the back of the head when you're shifting. You're gonna be wrestling with the car, and that's the whole point. There's drama, there's excitement. It's a freaking Lamborghini. There's a point behind it. It's a technically an outdated technology, and yes, you lose 50 milliseconds on each shift, but it's lighter, and it's just way more to their personality. But I will mention that while yes, this is a tour and less of a review, I do have one gripe that I wish to share, and that is the key fob. It's not rubbish by any means, it just remains unchanged from the Aventador, and there really should be something going on with this key to differentiate itself, especially because it's such an important part of the experience. And this wouldn't be an issue, however, I get why they had to do it. Air flows through here, and that means it also has to flow through these here as well, which means that the storage in the front is even smaller than on the Aventador, but at least you can fit a couple of backpacks in one of those. So I have here my backpack, and it looks like it should fit, however, it doesn't, and the reason being is because there's this beam in the middle that doesn't really seem like it does anything. It's just a nice material. However, I could fit my sunglasses in there, so I'm just gonna call it a glorified shades holder. Now this is the first Sian that landed in Canada. It was a very snowy day when it arrived, and there is a second one following it. The coupes, like the one that you see here, were released as 2020 models, while the Roadsters, which will be delivered later, are 2021 models. And while they're so rare that you may never see one side by side, especially with the Ducati, you can if you use a clever feature on Lamborghini's website to compare the two. First, take your Sian Coupe that you definitely own along with your Ducati and open the Sian Roadster page on your phone and use their augmented reality feature to place it where you want, and now you can check them out side by side. If you want to try this out for yourself and you're on your phone, I'll leave the link for you in the description. A few years ago, when Lamborghini gave us the Huracan, I didn't feel like they had given us another pinup poster-worthy supercar, but the Sian has completely and utterly restored my faith in their design team. I am still looking for the button that activates all the bazookas and laser beams. And you couldn't ask for one, you had to have Lamborghini approach you, and they weren't just looking to offer the Sian to anybody, or like to people that buy lots of Lamborghinis like you might think. They were looking for people that have a history of buying Lamborghinis and then holding on to them, and that's for pretty obvious reasons. Each one of these is made for a very specific and very special customer, because they don't want someone buying a Sian and then flipping it for a profit, because unlike most cars, I can almost guarantee you that this is going to go up in value. Speaking of price, it starts at $3.7 million US and £2.5 million if you're back home in England. That means that if we assume that Jeff Bezos makes $150,000 per minute, that he could buy a base Sian in just under 25 minutes, and if that isn't enough, he could buy all 63 of the coupes in just over a day. While most cars have a price tag, like how a car will start at 30 grand but maxes out at 60 grand with all the features, that isn't how the Sian works. It doesn't have a limit to the price. For example, faded paint costs $50,000 and it just goes up from there. I was told that the one here was spec'd out at $3.5 million Canadian before taxes, and that the base price here is $3.3 million, so I guess they don't just directly convert the price from currency to currency. Prices were confirmed all the way back in 2018 and were spec'd out in Italy by each client in 2019. And now, while this is technically one of 83 Sians ever made and then one of 63 coupes, it's actually one of one. Each one is completely unique because it's not only built to the customer's requirements and what they want out of this car, but you're not allowed to get two in the same color. That was where Lamborghini drew the line. You could technically get it in a different orange, but not the exact same color. So then, to recap, the Sian is a piece of Italian art that tells the story of the brand's past, present, and future. Not to mention giving us a glimpse into what's possibly around the corner for sports cars, supercars, and especially hypercars. After all, the term was first used to describe a Lamborghini. This is all while bringing together incredible new technologies. It's breaking records and setting first, being the fastest and most powerful Lamborghini ever, with the best power-to-weight ratio of a V12 Lambo so far. It's the first vehicle to adopt a supercapacitor to this extent, the first Lamborghini for sale to send electrically sourced power to the wheels, and one of the first vehicles to incorporate the new smart material technology. And they've kept it as a driver and experience-focused car, letting the new technologies inspire their creation instead of what some other brands are doing and putting the tech first. At first, $3.7 million seems like an impossible price to justify, but the more you flip through the Sian's pages, the more the Sian finds ways to justify its 7-digit price tag. Lamborghini has responded to the hyper-hybrid supercar trio, being the Porsche 918, the Ferrari LaFerrari, and the McLaren P1, in a magnificent way that will not be forgotten anytime soon. But that's it. That's everything that you need to know about the Lamborghini Sian. Thank you very much for following me along on this incredible journey. I'm very grateful to be able to bring you this content. A massive thank you to Lamborghini Calgary for collaborating with me on this project. Go and show them some love. I've linked both their website and their socials below, especially since I create all of their inventory photos and event videos. So if you enjoyed this video, you may also enjoy browsing through those. By far, my favorite car to work with in 2020 was the 2021 Aston Martin DBX back in December. I can almost guarantee you for pretty obvious reasons that this is going to be my automotive highlight of the year. However, I do still have some incredible projects on the way, so make sure to stay tuned for more. Of course, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Subscribe if you're new and you like what I do on this channel. Drop a like if you enjoyed this video, a dislike if you didn't, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. This is a very exciting moment. What a freaking car.